I just got one question for you, Tide Nation. Are you ready to talk Alabama football non-stop on a Friday? Because guess what I am is you are locked and loaded, ending your work week on the hottest show on the streets, the best form of Alabama football news, notes, information, and coverage you will find anywhere. And this right here is In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, smash it right now, and turn on those notifications so that you can get all the up-to-date news, notes, analysis, and coverage on your favorite football program, that being the Alabama Crimson Tide. We got a fantastic show prepared for you guys today, and we want you to be a part of it. 205-448-1358. Phone lines open right now. 205-448-1358 to get in on the action, get in on the conversation that is Crimson Tide football. 205-448-1358. We're going to be able to have our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, live in studio to talk Bama football, the 2021 class, the 2020 class, and things of that nature. But as we dive into some updates here, first and foremost, kudos to former Alabama safety Xavier McKinney, who has unveiled the number he will wear for the New York Giants. He will wear number 29. McKinney was selected number 36 overall in the second round of the NFL draft. McKinney is looking at, according to SpotRack.com, upon him signing, or when he signs his contract, he's looking at a 4-year deal worth $8.4 million, a $3.6 million signing bonus, and for the 2020 cap, which is what he will make in the upcoming season, $1.5 million. So big ups there for Xavier McKinney as he has unveiled his number for the 2020 season, wearing number 29 for the New York Football Giants. Also, how about Jalen Hurts? Former Alabama and Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts, going back to Old Faithful, number 2, deuce will be the number he will wear for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was number 2 in high school in Channelview, Texas. He was number 2 in 3 seasons with the Alabama Crimson Tide, going back to that number for the Philadelphia Eagles. And much like Xavier McKinney, SpotRack.com has the details on Hurts' contract. Jalen, upon him signing, looking at a 4-year deal worth $6 million, a $1.9 million signing bonus, and for that 2020 season, he'll look at making $1.1 million. So congrats to Xavier McKinney for unveiling his number, 29. Jalen Hurts, his number being number 2. But we're about to get it cracking here, get it popping here on the first topic of conversation, and that being the NFL. The NFL is looking into having virtual fans in empty stadiums, virtual fans in the seats, and having crowd noise, artificial crowd noise being pumped into the games to kind of give that full in-game experience, that full in-game sort of atmosphere. The question is, will Alabama football and college football follow suit? There were tweets that came out via John Ireland of the Sports Business Journal, and also Joe Buck, who is the play-by-play commentator for Fox Sports. So John Ireland and Joe Buck basically sharing information about, Fox Sports being one of the news entities that is looking into this, diving into this, dissecting the possibility of having virtual fans in the stands and pumping in the artificial crowd noise just to get that in-game type of feel. Now, according to Buck, he's speaking on, in a perfect world, of course, fans of sports, NFL in general, you want to have a situation where you've got the fans in the stands, the actual fans in the stands. You're playing games with actual fans, games with actual noise. You want everything to clear up, to be as normal as humanly possible. But in the event of people wanting football just any way they can get it, right? People want live action sports. They want live football any way, form, or fashion possible. So, Buck is kind of taking on the notion of the fact that if we can't have it to where it's normal, then at the very least, we can experiment with having the virtual fans, having the artificial crowd noise. And what's crazy here is, just like in the virtual draft where it had to be right, the IT department, they had to make sure you got the calls working well, you've got the lights working well, the power working well. No false step could be taken, right? With any false step, somebody in that IT department could have lost their job if some part of that virtual draft did not go according to plan. That's why they ran so many tests. They did so many exhibitions just to make sure if we do this the night of the draft, this is ran correctly, this is ran fluidly, this is ran right, like we have absolutely no hiccup. So this would be the same thing if the NFL does go with having virtual fans in stands here. They're going to have it where it looks good, it looks presentable, it looks right, it looks as though you are watching an actual live football game. The same thing in terms of the crowd noise. So trying to find ways to make it seem real, trying to find ways to give it that in-game feeling, that in-atmosphere feeling. The NFL, doing that, taking that step. But does this happen for college football? Does it happen for Alabama football? To me, I don't see it because although people want football, right? Although people want live sports and they want it in any way, shape, form of capacity, they'll take football any way they can have it. As much as people enjoy the NFL, and the NFL and the NBA are two of the most proactive venues in the realm of athletics. But people don't look at pro football the same way they look at college football. The passion, the pageantry, the excitement, the joy, college football just hits different. And, first and foremost, you look at the tailgating aspect of it. Tailgating takes on a religious form because you have fans of Crimson Tide football and college football. They will camp out at the respective venue overnight. They will camp out with their tailgate equipment, or they will get the hotel, and then the very next day, you are driving up to the campus, getting the grill going, getting the smoker going, getting all the tailgate food, the hamburgers, hot dogs, hot links, chicken, beer, getting it all prepared to go in terms of tailgating. And a lot of times they take it even more so as a competitive sport. Like, you're not going to outdo me tailgating. You think your potato salad going to be better than mine? Child, please. You think your hot dogs and hot links going to taste better than mine? Child, please. You think your grilled chicken, your fried chicken, your steak, your pizza, you think you'll outdo me? Child, please. So they take that tailgating to the upteenth degree in terms of how serious this thing is. And not just tailgating, college football gives people an opportunity to rekindle, recapture, reconnect with old friends and old colleagues. And the conversation is, you remember when, freshman year, we did that, we went to that step show, we went to that event, we took them girls out to that club, we took them guys out to that club. Like, you remember what we did as college students. You remember when we skipped class and skipped out on the test just to go out there on the strip or go to the pub or go to the local bar. You remember when we did that? So you've got the friends, the old colleagues, the old friends catching up, speaking about, old times, reliving the college lifestyle. And then college football is a moment for family members to expose other family members that have never seen a football game. You get that chance to expose your children, your nieces, your nephews, your wife, your husband, your mom, your grandma, whomever in the family has not been exposed to the college football atmosphere, the Alabama football atmosphere. That moment in college ball gives you that opportunity to do so. And people don't watch the NFL like they watch college ball. Don't get me wrong. You got fans of the NFL. Men, women, children, they watch pro football. They go and they get the pro jerseys. They go and sit in the stands. They go and cheer their team on. They play fantasy football for the fun of it, to watch the game, to see what's Julio Jones going to do, what's Carson Wentz going to do, what Todd Gurley's going to do. What is this? What's the Pittsburgh Steelers defense going to do? They play fantasy football to watch their favorite team. So I'm not saying that pro ball doesn't get any pull. It gets pull, but college football, people talk about it different, right? After the season's over, you don't see a lot of fans going for the NFL. Man, the season over, I can't wait the next season. Who we gonna draft? Who we gonna play next season? Who we got to watch for? Who we got to circle to see? Who we gonna get in that free agency period? Who's the coach we gonna have our eyes on if we lose our head coach or if we lose our position coach? College football talks like that. I mean, after the season ends, you're gonna have Bama fans out the gate going, all right, are we going to lose any coaches this offseason? Are we going to be able to keep the continuity? Okay, if we're going to be able to keep the continuity, who are we going to get on the recruiting trail, right? Who's the hot shot 5-star? Who's the big-time 4-star? Who is hot on the recruiting trail that we got to keep our eyes on, that we got to watch our timeline? Who is on that recruiting trail that Alabama is just going to have to get? Who is the next player that's going to be a beast in the upcoming season? We lost, this dude and that guy and this cat right here to the NFL. Who's next on the rise? Like, who do I have to pull out here in terms of a roster, circle their name, put a highlighter by them, put a star by them, make sure I know once this season comes into fruition, this is the guy I got to watch in spring ball. This is the guy I got to watch in summer workouts. This is the guy I got to watch in fall camp. These are the things that Alabama fans are talking about after ending one season. We got to get prepared for the next season. Who can we look forward to see in the next season? I was literally having a conversation with my father a couple of weeks ago, and my father's an Auburn fan. Don't ask me why we're still feeding him. I don't know why, but he's still getting food. He's still getting the Kool-Aid out of the mason jar. My mom actually prepared for him collard greens, cornbread, pinto beans, grilled chicken. He's still getting meals. Even as an Auburn fan, my father is still eating high off the hog here. But my father and I are literally having a conversation about college football. He's talking about how, hey, Steve, Auburn going to be right this year. We're going to be right, man. Gus is going to have that team right, man. Kevin Steele going to have that defense right, man. Bo Nix is on that come up. And I'm like, Pops, you've been speaking about Auburn for the past 5 years of them being on the come up, of them winning a national championship. When is that going to happen? Steven, don't shoot my dream down, man. Auburn going to get it done, man. Auburn going to pop off. No, don't worry about Auburn. Just know, man, when we pop off, just get ready for us, man, because we coming. And this is an Auburn fan that after Auburn's already had a college football season, he's already talking about the upcoming, the impending season. My father also a Dallas Cowboy fan, but don't see him a lot walking around the house after Cowboy season ends talking about what's Jerry Jones going to do next year, what's Dak Prescott going to do this year, who are the Cowboys going to draft this year. So doesn't talk a lot about the NFL, but he going to talk about college football. So it's the same thing here when you discuss, Alabama. Bama fans are going to talk college football 24/7, 365, non-stop conversation. So it's difficult when I just don't see it, because for a lot of fans that are season ticket holders, and for those that didn't get a chance to see a Tua Tagovailoa, didn't get a chance to see a Najee Harris, have never gotten the chance to see a lot of the marquee players, they're looking at this upcoming season going, I'll be doggone if I can't see Bryce Young. I'll be doggone if I can't see Will Anderson. I'll be doggone if I can't see Dylan Moses, if I can't see Jalen Waddle, if I can't see Devontae Smith. Something got to give. I can't see my babies. I can't see our young men on the field. We going to have some problems. We going to have some issues if I can't see these players on the football field in person. So as much as the virtual fan thing would be interesting in terms of Alabama football and college football, I just don't see it because Bama fans are going to want to be in those stands. Bama fans are going to want to be in those seats. They are going to want to see those players on the field in person. But we take our first break here on In My Own Words, the podcast on a Friday. Don't touch that dial, just getting you rolling here. Upon our return, we unpack your phone calls, your questions, your thoughts, your concerns on Bama football after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back into the action here, folks, on In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, on a Friday. It's your time, Bama Nation, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. You can also text with that number, leave a voicemail with that number as well. And as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you can have all the updates and analysis on the Crimson Tide. But we go to our first phone call. It's my man Waylon. Waylon, it's Friday, man. I hope you're doing fantastic, brother.
It is Friday. We are live at 5 on TDA. How's everybody down at TDA today, Stephen?
Doing well, my man, doing well. We're going to get a chance to hear from our own Justin Smith pretty soon here talking recruiting. I know the Bama fans are excited about that, but just a conversation on, I know people want football any way that they can get it, but in the event that, Alabama and college football has to resort to pumping in artificial crowd noise and having virtual fans in the stands or in an empty stadium, would you be down for that, Waylon, having virtual fans and pumping in artificial noise?
They're going to have to do what they're going to have to do. Looks like, Stephen, I sort of, it's not looking good by the way they talk with this coronavirus. So, with the new speaker system and the jumbotrons at Bryant-Denny and the way the other stadiums have developed through the years, I don't see no reason why not. They got to do what they got to do. That's what, if we don't want our football this year, it looks like that's what's going to happen. So we're just going to have to settle with that, Stephen, the way it looks.
Now, I thought, it was interesting, last season, Waylon, when, covering Crimson Tide football, especially the home games where Dixieland Delight would come on. About time, Dixieland Delight made its return to the games, and there's an area in the song, there's a line in the song where the student section likes to use their favorite word in front of the word Auburn, but Greg Byrne, athletic director, had that crowd noise piped in going, "Beat Auburn." It doesn't sound real having that crowd noise piped in like that, but it does serve a purpose.
Yeah, it does serve a purpose, and then we had negatives and positives about that too. So we'll just see how the ball bounces, I guess, this year, and we'll just have to roll with the punches and do what we got to do. But we talk a lot about our receivers and quarterbacks and stuff, and the difference they make. Our great receivers. We had a lot of great receivers throughout Alabama's career, and Al Bell and Mr. Richardson was two of them. I know you don't remember a lot of those games, but I do. Shula dropped back and depended on those two guys for a lot of throws and a lot of big wins, Stephen, if you remember correct.
Absolutely. Especially that 85 Iron Bowl. Shula depended on Bell to get in field goal range for Van Tiffin.
Yeah, he did. And it was 85. You know, we beat Georgia in 17, so I went back to 85 when we took away the block that Georgia made when the clock was running down to march down the field. So that's what the poem's going to be today, about the 1985 throws to Richardson and Mr. Bell. I guess we'll call it the Bell. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and we'll try to end it up like this with our 3 hearty chuckles. And here we go. It was 1985. It was Georgia, Bama. The game would go down to the line. It was the fourth quarter with 1:04 left on the clock. Bama snaps the ball. Georgia made the block. It's now 16-13 with time running down. The ball was placed on the 28-yard line. Bama started to march down. The first pass went to Richardson. He scooted out of bounds. The next pass to Al Bell. He caught the ball on the 30 with the time ticking down. A pass to Richardson, who first flew out of bounds. With the ball on the 18-yard line at 20 seconds left with Georgia go down. Shula drops back, makes a mighty throw, a roar and screams from the fans. In the end zone stands alone one man. It's Al Bell, this day, who took away Georgia's mighty winning block. So that's all I got for today, Stephen. Hope y'all remember that game. It was a good one. Everybody have a good weekend. We'll see y'all on Monday, the Lord's willing. Bye-bye, Stephen.
Be good there, Waylon. Appreciate the call there and the poem as always. We actually got one intriguing question here in the chat, and I want to get to this. It's from Anthony Scruggs. Anthony Scruggs writes in, 1-year prediction. Jalen wins the starting job for the Philadelphia Eagles. What's your take, Stephen M. Smith? I think a year in the system and an injury away and Wentz is out. So Jalen Hurts becoming the starting quarterback for Philly. Jalen's got a shot to do that. I mean, I know Philly paid Carson Wentz $128 million. 108 of that was fully guaranteed, so they believe in Carson. But at the same time, Wentz has had injury issues. He's had an injury history since entering the league in 2016. And on top of that, Philly does not have a competent backup right now. Doesn't have a competent backup. The two guys that they do have, I question, are they ready for the moment? Yes, they've been in the NFL for a minute now, but are they ready for the moment? And just seeing how Jalen comes from a program where Alabama was chew you up and spit you out. Nick Saban was one to say, hey, man, Bama ain't for everybody. Not everybody making it Bama. And the fact that Jalen went through that program, had 3 strong years or 3 good years, even with being benched, and was able to take the lessons he had from Nick Saban, go to Oklahoma, have a incredible year with the Sooners as far as passing the football and throwing the ball, and the numbers he was able to put up from both of those systems, the tough, rugged system of Alabama, and then the fun, be able to grow as a passing system at Oklahoma. Jalen's got a shot at this. Now, it comes down to, how quickly can he pick up things with Doug Peterson in that Philly offense. But if he picks up things quickly, which he tends to do, and Carson Wentz for some reason can't quite seem to get right in terms of the medical health, I can see Jalen Hurts at some point quickly being able to get a chance to start for the Eagles. But I honestly believe Philly made the right move there in getting him at pick number 53 in the draft. Just going back to the Eagles right now, no competent backup quarterback behind Jalen. But appreciate that question there coming from Anthony Scruggs on the YouTube chat line. But when you look at Christian Barmore and Chris Braswell, two very interesting individuals. First and foremost, Chris Braswell. Braswell was one of 4 outside linebackers that Alabama recruited in the 2020 class, recruited and signed. As you're watching this video here of Braswell playing on screen, he does a 66-foot, he's got a 66-inch vertical as he jumps onto this box here. This is pretty incredible here. The thing with Braswell, he's got the potential coming from St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, Maryland. He was with Will Anderson, Drew Sanders, and Quindarius Robinson in this class. So can he find a way to get on the field? He's got to get a bit bigger at 6'3", 220 pounds. So he's got to fill out that body a little bit more. But does he have what it takes as far as his instincts, his capability, his playmaking abilities on the field to be able to get out there as a freshman and make something happen. Going to look forward to seeing him and having our own Justin Smith on a little bit later to talk more so about Braswell, as he and I saw the young man at the Under Armour All-America game, at the practices for that game down in Orlando, Florida. Also, Christian Barmore. If this young man is not an All-American, a first-team All-American this season, we got a serious problem. In this video, he takes no days off, working extremely hard, getting his body right, getting his mind right for the upcoming season. He is working through footwork drills, core, agility, whatever you want to call it. He is putting in the work. He's been working since the Citrus Bowl. And in this video, as he is getting it in with a local coach, he literally in the drill shoves the coach. Look at this. He is shoving the coach on the ground. I mean, Barmore putting in work, y'all. Barmore's working. If this young man is not an All-American in the upcoming season, we got a problem, because he is going to be the leader, the captain, not only of this defensive line, but this defense as a whole. One of those faces that these players and Coach Saban is going to look to set that tone. Physically, mentally, emotionally, set that tone for this Alabama defense to get back to being a feared, respected group in college football. So excited to see what Barmore does, excited to see the growth of Chris Braswell as well. But we take another break here on In My Own Words. Continue to light us up in the chat line, light us up in the phone line as well, 205-448-1358. Upon our return, we'll hear from the man, the myth, the legend, Justin Smith, talking Bama recruiting after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're live, folks, into the action from the break on the hottest show on the streets, the best form of Alabama football news, notes, and information you will find anywhere in My Own Words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But the man of the hour, folks, is here, our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, brother from another mother, family affair. Justin, what's going on, man?
Not much, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's awesome, as always, Justin, to have you. And just starting this thing off with, of course, the 2020 class. We'll get into 2021, but the 2020 class, first and foremost, we just saw the video there of Chris Braswell playing on screen, one of the 4 outside linebackers Alabama signed in this recent class here. You and I both watched him at the Under Armour practice down there in Florida. What did you see from him at the practice? What did you take from him? Does he have the ability to somehow scratch out some playing time this season?
Yeah, I think it's up in the air, especially for Alabama at that outside linebacker position, because it is a question mark there. You know, you have Chris Allen coming back. You hopefully expect him to be the leader of that group with this experience, right, and make a jump for him to be a signature part of that outside linebacker group. But it's also a question mark. You don't know if Ben Davis is going to be able to make that jump. He has not done so during his time at the University of Alabama. So it is a door for a freshman to step up and make an impact. And I think that opens the door for all 4 of those guys, looking at Drew Sanders, Quindarius Robinson, and also Chris Braswell. So I think that opens the door for him. But when you look at Chris Braswell, it's a lot to like. When you look at his measurements, he fits the mold of what Alabama is looking for at the outside linebacker position. But when you look at him, look at his playing style and what he brings to the game in between the whistles. He's a kid that has a nice jump off the line, a kid who can tackle. I think he has a nice form on his tackles. He does not really bring that thump that you may want to see out of an outside linebacker at the moment, but that is something that he can grow into, something he can really mature into at that outside linebacker position. But this is a kid who played at St. Francis Academy, which means that he has an advantage over some guys who went to smaller schools. When you go to St. Francis Academy, you get a chance to play against teams across the nation, similar to Mater Dei High School, of course. He played Mater Dei High School. We actually went up against Bryce Young. So you get to go up.
How did that go?
Yeah, Bryce Young had a historic night that night, but Chris Roswell did have some success getting to Bryce Young. So you see that he has that range. The kid who can really make some tackles in the open field. So I think I think the door is open for Chris Roswell to possibly make an impact if he gets the opportunity.
No, this evening is a big evening, Justin, as the 2021 class Alabama. There's a young man making a commitment today. Will he choose the Crimson Tide remains to be seen as he looks to make that commitment. I remember you were telling me around 5:45 the young man is expected to make his move. Now, who is the young man trying to make the commitment, if you will, and do you see him possibly going to Alabama? Who's fighting for him at this time as he's about to make this decision?
Well, the guy you're talking about is Kane Williams, the 4-star safety out of Louisiana, who's expected to announce his commitment in a matter of minutes. Now, he has a top 3. He released a top 3 in March. He was originally set to announce a verbal commitment, but he decided to hold off and announce a top 3 instead of LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M. The good thing about Alabama in terms of them pushing for Williams is the fact they were able to get him on campus for one of their junior day events with it, which is looking to be like a huge deal for Alabama when you look at the fact that certain schools were not able to get some of the top targets on campus during the spring. And it looks like they will most likely not get those guys on campus this summer as well, with the recruiting dead period being extended through June 30th, and with the month of July already being a dead period, it looks like most schools will not get a chance to host any guys this summer. So Alabama getting him on campus, I think that is huge for Alabama, because throughout this recruiting dead period, they have been able to talk with him about his relationship, build a relationship with Alabama, talk to him about some of the things that they have to offer, and not really just try to virtually recruit, totally have to do those virtual visits that Alabama's coaching staff has been doing. They don't have to do that with Williams. You don't have to take out time to do a virtual visit, show off all of the facilities you have. You can just focus on that relationship and hone in and show him that he's really one of your top guys.
If you're just tuning in here, folks, to In My Own Words, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, on here talking Alabama recruiting for 2020, but also definitely 2021 more so. And so, Justin, in terms of trying to push for more guys, because of the 4 commitments Alabama has now, they pushed for all 4 of them. Who are the next wave of guys that Nick Saban, even with doing the virtual apps, even with doing the Zoom calls, who are the next wave of players that Bama has to get to commit quickly?
Well, I wouldn't say have to get to commit quickly, but guys who could be considering a possible Alabama really likes at that outside linebacker position. Of course, we at Touchdown Alabama have believed in Jackson for quite some time now. Going back to when I first interviewed him, got a chance to interview him, he told me that he had not heard from Alabama at all. He said there was no interest in Alabama at that point. But when I got a chance to interview him, when I saw his tape, I said, "Yo, we're going to interview you because we feel that Alabama is going to jump on a kid like you." And I think Alabama has continued to recruit him. He told me that multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff has continued to push for him throughout this recruiting dead period. I would put him in a mix. Of course, you have to put Kane Williams in the mix. Another guy I would put in the mix is Shamrick Jackson, a 4-star defensive end out of Orlando, Florida, by the way of Boone High School, a guy who Alabama's head coach Nick Saban actually FaceTime a couple of days ago. So when you know you're one of Alabama's top targets when you get a chance to FaceTime with Nick Saban.
I have not had that experience yet.
So Nick Saban FaceTime this kid who has been in contact with multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff, Alabama special teams coordinator Jeff Banks, Harmon Wiggins, so many different guys with Alabama's coaching staff. So Alabama's coaching staff is doing a collective effort of really pushing for these guys. And another guy I will put into that mix is Daryl Peterson. A lot of Alabama fans may not hear too much about this guy, but this is a guy I'm going to constantly bring up because he had an actual official visit set to the University of Alabama during the month of June. Of course, he cannot do that with the recruiting dead period being extended through June, but he did tell me it does not matter if I'm able to take any official visit visits this summer. I visited enough schools. I'm going to make a commitment this summer regardless. And Alabama was able to host him for one of their junior day events. So those are a couple of guys I will keep an eye on, along with Kane Williams.
Now, Justin, the guy you've been high on this whole time, the guy you referred to as the best pure product from the state of Alabama, JaQuincy McKinstry, the defensive back, he is set to announce his top 3 schools on Sunday. Now, I know he's been working with former Alabama safety Justin Woodall for quite some time now. Where does Alabama stand in your mind in McKinstry's top 3 that he's about to drop here soon?
Yeah, he's going to drop a top 5 Sunday. Actually, but when you look at Alabama's push for him, I think Alabama is in a great position for McKinstry. I know a lot of Alabama fans wanting him to commit soon. I think if he did commit soon, I think Alabama will be the favorite to land him. But I think McKinstry is such a talented kid. So many other Power 5 programs want to get him on campus. I've been in contact with them daily. I think with him being a smart recruit, wanting to evaluate all of his options, I think he's going to want to take many more visits before he comes up with a decision with schools like LSU, Auburn, among the schools really push for him. I think Clemson is pushing for him as well. So I think he's going to release that top 5. I expect Alabama to be in it. I expect Alabama to be in a good position, but I don't think he's going to commit anytime soon. I think he's going to evaluate his options more, try to see what all the other schools have to offer as well.
Now, I know you mentioned there's not a must get for Alabama right now, but if you had to get like a top 3 to 4, players that if Alabama does get these particular guys, it's a huge feather in the hat of Nick Saban. Who are those guys that if Alabama can get them, that's big for the program?
Well, I'll first start off with the Brockermeyer twins, of course. Brockermeyer twins, Tommy Brockermeyer, the 5-star offensive tackle, and James Brockermeyer, the 4-star offensive lineman center. Those are two pretty good guys. I think Alabama's coaching staff is really pushing for. With the offensive line being a priority position for Alabama in the 2021 recruiting class, they are expected to add 4 to 5 guys at that position. So I think those 2 guys would be 2 guys I think Alabama would really like to have. I got a chance to talk with their dad. They are really considering Alabama. I think Alabama's in a good position with them. I know that their dad did attend the University of Texas. He was inducted to the Hall of Honor at Texas, a first-round draft pick in the NFL. But I think that Alabama is in a good position with them. When I got a chance to talk with him, he was able to write out Alabama stats right at the top of his head. So they are considering Alabama pretty heavily.
That'd be the Brockermeyer twins definitely in that loop here for the Crimson Tide. Well, kind of a fun question here, Justin. Fun question here. For the 2020 class coming up here, that's already here. If you could name 1 or 2 guys, a couple of guys that have the potential to be freshman All-Americans. Probably not all the freshmen will get a chance to play this season. Hopefully, have college football season. But if you could think of a couple of freshmen that had that opportunity to maybe be a freshman All-American for the Tide, who would those guys be?
Well, you first have to look at guys who have an opportunity to do that because, of course, some positions are pretty much locked up by veteran guys in a way. Of course, Nick Saban is going to give you the opportunity to work and possibly get on the field, but some of those veteran guys are in a great position to keep their spot in Alabama's starting group. But when you look at the defensive back position, I think a dark horse guy could be Brian Branch, the 4-star safety.
Highlight kid right there.
If he had a chance to get an opportunity to get on the field, possibly he could work into that role. One of those guys at outside linebacker position, I'll put William Anderson, of course, with that question at the outside linebacker position. He possibly could move in there and possibly make a push for that. And I will also put Bryce Young in it if he got the opportunity, if he somehow worked in. And I know Mac Jones looks to be in a pretty good spot to be Alabama's starting quarterback. But if it was ever a chance where Bryce Young had to be called on to be in that position, I think he has the weapons around him to possibly push for that.
So we got Bryce Young, we got William Anderson, and we got the dark horse and Brian Branch coming from our own Justin Smith if there was an All-American freshman, All-American opportunity. Well, folks, as always, in My Own Words, the podcast, hottest show on the streets, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst on. Justin, as always, fun having you. Love the insight you bring to the table. You be good, man.
Thank you, Steven.
When we come back from the break, folks, we're going to dive back into your phone calls, tweets, text messages, thoughts, questions, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back inside the action here, folks, on a Friday, the hottest form of Crimson Tide. Football news, notes, and information you will find anywhere in my own words with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. It was awesome getting a chance to talk to Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA in the previous segment there. As always, that he is the boots on the ground for top recruiting. But 205-448-1358. And I'm going to call in, folks, to be a part of the conversation. Want to hear from you. 205-448-1358. That number one more time, 205-448-1358. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so that you can have all the Bama football you can handle. But another interesting segment here, conversation here on SEC. SEC is going to have all 14 presidents from all 14 institutions vote at some point soon on allowing the student athletes and the students to return to being on campus. Now, initially, there was a report that came out that the voting date for the SEC would be on May 22nd. Now the date has kind of changed to, to be determined. So at some point, whether it's May 22nd or some date, down the road here, the idea is, or the thought process is, all 14 presidents from the SEC are going to have a decision. They're going to vote on a move to have the students and the student athletes return to campus either on June the 1st or June the 15th. So the thing is making sure or trying by all that means necessary to have the football season start on time. And part of having that season start on time is getting the athletes and getting the students back on campus. And this is interesting because, once again, we have heard from different athletic directors on how if you don't have college football, the funds, the economy, the infrastructure, you're looking at something serious, possibly going back to the Great Depression if you don't have, football. Because for the minor schools, the small schools out there, football is their money. People don't traffic to their basketball, their baseball, their softball, their gymnastics. People don't hit on the other sports that they have much like they hit on the football. So, and even the marquee schools, the power programs that be in the sport, although not having a season would not affect them as much, still it affects them because not having football on the field, people want to see the games. People want to see action. People look at football sometimes as a coping mechanism, as a way to deal with certain external factors. For a lot of people, it's my marriage could be going wrong, children could be acting crazy, money could be acting funny, job could not be where I want it to be, but as long as I have my football, as long as I have Alabama football, I'm good. That's the mindset of quite a few people. Everything in my life could be going topsy-turvy. Everything could be breaking loose negatively in my life, but as long as I've got this football, as long as I've got the Crimson Tide to cheer for, to root for, to scream for, I'm going to be good. And just looking at how the SEC is going about this proactively and having all 14 presidents from all 14 schools, programs, institutions take this to a vote on getting the athletes back on campus quickly enough or in timely fashion enough to where fall camp can start on time, right? And the college football season can start on time. Now, does this mean an SEC Media Days in Atlanta, Georgia? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see about that. We're trying to solve one problem at a time. And the most important problem that we're getting to is finding a way to get this vote down to where students can be back on campus, student athletes back on campus. Campus is clean, looking good, disinfected. Nobody's passing around germs. Nobody's spreading germs. We can get this back to being as normal as possible. I know with the coronavirus in here, 2020, people will never look at years the same, especially after what we've encountered this year. But to get back to being close to normal as possible, close to having things back at a point to where we can deal with them as people as possible, that's the goal, that's the aim that we look for. And we as people equate normalcy to sports. As long as we're having live sports, live football, live basketball, live baseball, live athletics, then we are in a good position. We're on the up and up, if you will. Everything is right with the world having that live athletics. So on either it will be May 22nd or once the official concrete day comes out, all 14 presidents from the SEC will put to a vote. And based on the vote, it will be, will the students be back on campus by June 1st, or will the students be back on campus by June the 15th? So that will be something to keep an eye on there across your timeline on social media, just looking in the newspaper clippings, just something intriguing to look out for there. But we're going to go to another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Once again, folks, still getting your chest warm here talking Crimson Tide football. As always, 205-448-1358. Phone lines open, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you. Want your thoughts, your opinions, your viewpoint on Alabama football. Upon our return, we will get into another fun discussion here. I will project my potential All-Americans for Alabama football in the upcoming season, and we touch it up right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
As we continue to wait on the commitment announcement from one Kane Williams, the four-star safety out of Louisiana, you are back rocking and rolling from the break here in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on a Friday, and we get into a little bit of fun here. I'm going to put on my prediction hat, and looking at who could be potential All-Americans or who are going to be All-Americans for Alabama in the upcoming season. Now, typically, when All-American lists are put out by different venues, you normally have 20 to 25 guys to make, a first team All-American list. They'll give you, one spot for a quarterback, 2 spots for a running back, 2 spots for an offensive guard, 2 spots for an offensive tackle, and so on and so forth. But they give you a limited amount of spots, but overall, for a first team All-American list, we're talking about 20 to 25 guys. Now, in terms of Alabama, I'm projecting 10. 5 offense, 5 defense. I'm projecting 10 that will be All-Americans here for the Crimson Tide. And starting off here offensively, my 5 I've got on offense, I'm looking at Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle, Evan Neal, offensive guard, Najee Harris at running back, Devontae Smith at wide receiver, and Jalen Waddle as the all-purpose player. So those will be my 5 offensive, projected All-Americans, first teamers for the Crimson Tide. Starting off here with Alex Leatherwood, he will be one of the best offensive tackles in college football, if not the best left tackle in the game in the upcoming season. A guy that will go into his second year as a starter at that left tackle spot. Started 2018, started this past year. So his third year, going into his third year starting at that left tackle position. Behind him, I've got Evan Neal here, will be the offensive guard. Now, you could see either Evan Neal or Deontay Brown getting the nod there as a first-team offensive guard, but give me this to Evan Neal just due to going into his second year. He was thrown out there last year, really did a solid job, sensational job, made the freshman All-SEC team, and a guy that's going to take a jump between his freshman to his sophomore year. So definitely can see here, Evan Neal being first-team offensive guard. Running back, Najee Harris, first team. This guy snapped last season. From the LSU game to the latter portion of the season, picking it up, putting it down, getting 1,000 yards. Had 1,224 yards in 2019, 13 touchdowns, had 6 100-yard games, 4 of those against conference opponents. So Najee Harris, despite the fact that Chuba Hubbard is back at Oklahoma State and Travis Etienne is back at Clemson, I look at Najee Harris. He will be one of the 2 first-team All-American backs representing the Crimson Tide. Devontae Smith will represent first-team All-American at wide receiver. We know what he can do. 1,000-yard weapon a season ago. 68 catches, 1,256 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 100-yard games, including a pair of 200-yard receiving performances. I mean, he burned Derek Stingley and LSU like burnt bacon, like crisp toast. Burnt! Did Devontae Smith do those guys, and also had a big matchup against Ole Miss as well. And a guy that is already putting in the work with the likes of Robbie Green of Dynamic Performance Training down there in Louisiana. So Devontae Smith would be the first team All-American at wide receiver. Jalen Waddle, first team All-American all-purpose player because he does everything. He wide receiver, he punt return, he does kickoff return. At some point, definitely in this upcoming year, he's got to touch the ball 15 to 20 times in space because he puts people on their feet. You can't go to the bathroom when Jalen Waddle's on the field. You can't take a beer run when Jalen Waddle's on the field. You can't go to the concession stand when Jalen Waddle is on the field because if you do, you are going to miss greatness and you are going to hate yourself when you do that. So, running back through here, my first team All-American projections in terms of offense, you look at Alex Leatherwood at left tackle, Evan Neal left an offensive guard, Najee Harris at the running back position, Jalen Waddle at the all-purpose player, and Devontae Smith as the first-team All-American wide receiver. But we got some breaking news here, huge news here in terms of Alabama in recruiting. Kane Williams, the 4-star safety from the state of Louisiana, has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Nick Saban reaching down into the boot and getting another guy from Louisiana in Kane Williams, the 4-star safety. This puts the Crimson Tide at 5 verbal commitments for the 2021 class. So, and I believe the Louisiana area is also Pete Golding's domain. Pete Golding has the Louisiana and the Mississippi area. So a huge feather in the cap of Pete Golding doing his thing, making sure that Kane Williams gave Nick Saban in Alabama that yes on that verbal commitment, the 4-star safety there. But after getting into that little piece of news there, important news. We jump back into now. I can dissect the All-American projections as far as defense first teamers for the Crimson Tide. And I've got here Christian Barmore, Dylan Moses, Patrick Surtain II, Jordan Battle, and one Ty Ryan. Yes, I've got the punter on the list. Do not at me. Yes, I've got the punter because punting starts off the defensive possession anywhere in terms of the defense, getting on the field, defending the opposing offense. So Christian Barmore, first team defense, All-American defensive end. If he's not an All-American this upcoming season, we have a serious problem. In limited action last year, we saw it. 26 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, 2 pass breakups, a beast, an animal, and he's putting in the work all offseason. The coronavirus has had no effect on B. Moore, whether he's working with the local coach up there in Philly in Troy Gore or whomever he teams up with. 50A, B. Moore want all the smoke. He ain't playing around with him. He making sure that he is going to be the impactful, the enforcer, the leader on this defensive front and the defense as a whole. So Christian Barmore. Next guy, Dylan Moses. Now, Christian Harris could make his way in here too. I'm not putting anything past Christian Harris. Harris can make his way in here too. But right now, bona fide Dylan Moses getting the chance to relive his junior year. He's looking square in the face of trying to win that Butkus Award, trying to win that Chuck Bednarik Award, any award he can get his hands on. Probably can win the SEC Defensive Player of the Year for just being frank with it here. But Dylan Moses, number 2 defensively to be a first-team All-American projected from yours truly. Next guy, Patrick Surtain II at corner. He's got to come with it, though. He's got to come with it this year. Freshman season, he had a strong year despite getting burned at times in the Orange Bowl versus CeeDee Lamb of Oklahoma. Freshman year, Surtain, solid year. Sophomore year, did some good things, but at times when I watched him play, I'm like, Pat Surtain, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust your instincts, young man. Nick Saban is teaching you what to do. Be in the hip pocket of the wide receiver, play the football, trust your eyes, know what you're out there doing. And he knows what he's out there doing. He's got to be able to trust himself. He comes from a tremendous pedigree. His father, Pat Surtain Sr., played in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's been working with young Surtain, but Surtain gotta come with it this year. He comes with it this year, first team All-American. He comes with it this year, first round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. But Surtain got to come with it this year, but I have got him named here. First team potential All-American. Next guy, we go to that safety spot, Jordan Battle. I'm calling it right now. Jordan Battle will be a first team All-American. Calling it right now. Saw this young man play the whole season last year, especially week 1 against Duke, where he made an incredible interception. And if you look at this under Nick Saban, Bama has always had that big-time freshman who takes a big jump the sophomore year, and that sophomore in that defensive backfield always ends up helping Alabama win a national championship. Case in point, 2009, you remember Mark Barron? 09, 7 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, Bama national championship. 2011, D. Milner, sophomore year, 3 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, Bama national championship. 2012, Clinton Dix from Florida, sophomore year, 4 interceptions, Bama national championship. Of course, we also remember my guy, Minkah Fitzpatrick, 2016, sophomore year, 6 picks, including a couple for a championship. Now, of course, for an SEC championship. Now, Bama didn't win the national, but Minkah Fitzpatrick did make that jump. So you got Jordan Battle in there. And then last but not least, Ty Ryan. We saw what he did as a freshman, walk on a limited action. He's going to get more time this year to do his thing. So Ty Ryan in there as well. Potential projected All-American from yours truly. But as always, Bama fans, you want the best news, notes, and information you're going to find anywhere on Crimson Tide Football. You get it by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app, but you do this by going to the iPhone App Store. If you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store, if you got that Android phone, the podcast options, we got you. Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or Apple Podcast. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Monday with more Crimson Tide action. But until next time, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, do all things legitimately to not be bored. Get those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself and the loved ones around you. Until next time, holla at your boy. Peace. It's been in my own words.